You are intelligent. You have built companies, led teams, closed deals that most people could have never pulled off, and solved complex problems. And yet somehow you keep falling for the same trap over and over again. Keto, intermittent fasting, Atkins, paleo, vegan. You have probably tried at least 2 of these, maybe all of them, and here's what happened every single time. It worked for a few weeks, you lost some weight, you felt like you finally cracked the code. Then life got in the way. A trip, a stressful quarter, the holidays, and not only did the weight come back, it did so with a vengeance, and you ended up weighing more than you did before. This is not a willpower problem, it's a discipline problem. This is a systems problem, and today I'm going to explain exactly why every fad diet is designed to fail you and what actually works for someone who cannot put their life on pause in order to get in shape. Why smart people keep falling for fad diets. There is a reason fad diets are so appealing to high achievers. They promise a clear set of rules. Do this and avoid that and results will follow. For someone who succeeds by mastering systems, this sounds perfect. Give me the playbook and I will execute. The problem is that fad diets are built on a fundamental lie. They tell you that one specific food group or eating pattern is the secret. Cut carbs completely, only eat during an 8-hour window, eliminate all processed foods. This creates a false sense of clarity. You feel like you finally understand what has been holding you back all along. But here's what they do not tell you. The only reason any diet works is because it puts you in a calorie deficit. Keto works not because carbs are evil, but because cutting out an entire food group means you eat fewer calories. Intermittent fasting works not because meal timing is magic, but because restricting your eating window usually means less total food. The specific rules are irrelevant. The deficit is everything. So why do all these systems fail eventually? Because the rules are impossible to maintain in an actual life, and the moment you break them, the whole system collapses. Let me show you exactly why this keeps happening even to the most disciplined people. The collapse mechanism. Every fad diet has the same fatal flaw. It requires you to mold your entire life around the diet instead of molding the diet around your life. And for someone with your schedule, that is a guaranteed failure. Think about what keto actually demands. No birthday cake at your kid's party, no pasta on your anniversary in Italy. You grind through for a while, but eventually there's a moment where the social cost becomes too high. So you break the rule. And because fad diets are all or nothing systems, one slip feels like a total failure. So you think, I already ruined it, might as well just enjoy myself this weekend, and just like that, 3 weeks worth of progress disappears in 3 days. This is not a willpower issue, it is a predictable outcome of an unsustainable system. The diet required perfection, and real life doesn't allow for perfection. So failure was built into the design from day one. The other problem is that fad diets teach you nothing. You learn to follow rules, not to understand food. So when the rules no longer fit your life, you have no idea how to adapt. You are left with 2 options: strict compliance or complete randomness. There is no middle ground because nobody taught you how to navigate one. This is why the solution is not finding a better diet, it is abandoning the diet mentality entirely. Tweaks over overhauls. Here's the counterintuitive truth. A successful approach to fat loss is never about putting you on a restrictive diet. It is about finding small tweaks to how you already eat that move you towards your goal without making you miserable. You already have certain eating habits whether you like them or not. You already have restaurants you frequent, foods you enjoy, and a social calendar you are not willing to sacrifice. The goal is not to replace all of that with chicken breast and broccoli. The goal is to change your current eating enough that it starts producing a physical change. This is literally the opposite of how fad diets work. Fad diets ask you to overhaul everything overnight. New foods, new routines, new restrictions. It feels dramatic and exciting at first, but drama and excitement fade. What remains is whether the approach actually fits into the 165 hours per week you spend outside of the gym living your actual life. A good rate of progress is 0.5 to 1.5% body weight, not body fat, loss per week. For most men that is around 1 kilogram weekly. This might sound slow compared to the 10 pounds in 2 weeks that fad diets promise, but here's the difference. This approach does not require you to become a different person, and because of that, the results actually stick. So what do these tweaks actually look like in practice? Let me give you a framework that works at any restaurant in any country with any cuisine. The 4 categories that simplify everything. Forget macros, forget calorie counting apps, forget weighing your food on a kitchen scale. For someone with your lifestyle, that level of detail is often unrealistic. Instead, you need a mental framework that lets you make smart decisions in seconds, whether you are at a steakhouse in Manhattan or a street vendor at Bangkok. All food falls into 4 categories. Lean protein is your foundation. It's stuff like chicken breast, white fish, shrimp, egg whites, and other seafood. High protein, low calories, and very filling. This is what you build every meal around. The second category, fatty protein, is things like fatty fish like salmon, steak, whole eggs, and other cuts of meat like beef, lamb, and pork. These are still healthy, they are still good for you, but they're very calorie dense, so you need to stay aware of portion sizes. The third category is carbs. Carbs are things like rice, potatoes, bread, and pasta. They're not the enemy, but they're also not essential. Plus, you can always see if there are potatoes on your plate, for example, which makes them easy to reduce when you want to accelerate your progress. The last category is fats. This is where most people unknowingly destroy their progress. Now, fats come in two forms. They can be tangible, like nuts, avocado, and cheese, stuff that you can actually see. And there can be sneaky fats which you cannot see, like the oil your vegetables were cooked in, or the dressing on your salad, or the sauce on your protein. Fats, and especially sneaky fats, are calorie bombs that hide in plain sight. 2 tablespoons of olive oil is over 200 calories. Most people have no idea this is happening. Once you understand these 4 categories, you can walk into any food situation and make a reasonable decision without pulling out an app or asking the waiter uncomfortable questions. You are not following a diet, you are developing a skill you will use for the rest of your life. But knowing what to eat when you have control over your food is only half the battle. The other half is knowing how to handle the meals that you cannot control. This is where most advice falls apart for busy professionals. The banking system for social meals. Here's the reality of your life. You have business dinners, you have flights where the only option is airport food, you have celebrations, holidays, networking events, where refusing to eat would be socially costly. Any approach that pretends these situations do not exist is an approach that will inevitably fail you. The principle is simple. Control whatever is easy to manage and do not stress about what is not manageable. If you have 28 meals per week and only 2 are client dinners, those 2 meals barely matter. You could eat whatever you want and still make progress because the other 26 meals are doing the work. But if you have 10 meals out per week, you need a strategy. This is where calorie banking comes in. If you know you have a big dinner tonight, you eat lighter during the day. Not starving yourself, in fact deliberately filling yourself up with protein and veg to make it easier to stay on track at dinner. High protein breakfast, high protein low calorie lunch, then you have room to enjoy dinner without guilt and without derailing your progress. And if dinner still ends up pushing you over your target for the day, you can always steal some calories from the following day or 2 as well. Most people are used to doing the opposite. They eat normally all day, they have a big dinner, then they feel guilty and try to completely restrict themselves the next day. This creates a chaotic cycle with no consistency. Calorie banking flips the script. You plan for the indulgence instead of reacting to it. This is how people lose 16 kilos while having 5 meals out per week. They are not being perfect, they are being strategic. Now you have the nutrition framework, but there is a reason people who know exactly what to do still fail. And it has nothing to do with food. The missing component everyone ignores. If you have ever hired a personal trainer, you got training covered and maybe some accountability with it. If you've ever had a nutritionist, you got a meal plan and almost no accountability. Neither of these services address implementation, and implementation is the entire game. Implementation means the plan bends to your life and not the other way around. It means when you tell your coach, nutritionist, or trainer that meal prepping on Sundays is impossible for your schedule, their response is not that you should prioritize it more. The response should be figuring out what works instead. And that might mean non-conventional approaches like finding restaurants where staying on track becomes easier, providing help picking from the restaurant menus, or getting specific groceries delivered. It means adjusting the plan when you have 3 international trips next month. And it means someone asking the right questions to understand how to tweak further when progress stalls instead of just telling you to eat less. This is not a dictatorship where you follow orders and feel like a failure when life gets in the way. It is a coaching relationship where the more feedback you give, the better the plan becomes. You end up with something tailored specifically to your constraints, your preferences, and your reality. And this is why it sticks. The other piece is accountability. Tracking daily metrics like body weight and sleep. Weekly metrics like waist circumference and progress photos. A check-in every week to review what happened and plan for what is coming. This level of structure is what keeps people consistent through busy seasons, travel, and stress. Without it, even the best intentions drift. So what happens when someone actually combines all of this? Let me show you what results look like when the approach finally matches the lifestyle. What sustainable results actually look like. Here are examples from people who tried every fad diet before finding an approach that worked. Mike lost 17 kilos while running a very successful business, having a family, traveling, and going on client dinners. Natalie lost 16 kilograms 7 years ago and has kept it off ever since. Not through continued restriction, but because she learned how to eat in a way that fits her life permanently. Mental health improved, energy improved. She describes herself as a completely different person. Clinton, a 51-year-old, got abs for the first time in his life after losing 15 kilos of body fat. Salva, a 36-year-old who could never build muscle, finally added 8 kilograms of lean mass in only 7 months. Katie, with unexplained fainting episodes that even doctors could not diagnose, saw them vanish within weeks of stabilizing her nutrition. These people definitely worked hard, but they don't have more willpower than you. These are people who stopped chasing fat diets and started building sustainable systems. Here's the truth nobody in the diet industry wants you to hear. They need you to fail and then blame yourself for not being disciplined enough. Their entire business model depends on you trying keto, quitting, trying intermittent fasting, quitting, trying the next thing, and buying another book or program every 6 months. Your failure is their recurring revenue. Breaking that cycle means stopping the search for the perfect diet and starting to work on building something that actually fits your life. If you want help putting together the training, nutrition, implementation, and accountability in a way that respects your schedule and does not require you to become a different person, there is a link in the description to book a consultation. We will map out what this looks like for your specific situation. But here's what I want you to remember, even if you and I never get to meet. The next fat diet is already being marketed to you. It will have a clever name, celebrity and influencer endorsements, and promises that sound too good to be true. And it will fail you for the exact same reasons every other diet failed. The only way to win is to stop playing that game entirely. Your body deserves the same strategic thinking you bring to your business. Not quick fixes, not dramatic overhauls, just intelligent systems that compound over time. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.